All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another interview here on One Board Family. I'm here with Caezar from Alley Cat Games today. Hey, how's it going?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing well, enjoying my last week of freedom before I start back teaching again. Yeah, we have I believe, our first international interview.
All right.
So,
Oh, I feel privileged.
yes. We're going beyond the borders, as they will. The reason I reached out to talk to you today was because I've been following adamantly stuff about your new game, Dice Hospital, and in
Sure.
learning a little bit more about you, I've learned that you've got more than just that in your background. So you mind telling us a little bit about yourself first?
Yeah, sure. I'm trained as a scientist by trade. So I have a PhD in molecular and structural biology. But during my time as a postdoctoral researcher, I started dabbling in game design and game publishing through Kickstarter stuff. So that's how it sort of all started. And then our first game, Lab Wars, did really well. So that sort of enabled me to become a full-time publisher. So I left my job as a researcher, my career in that, to pursue a career in board game publishing. So I haven't looked back since then.
That is awesome. And I believe you've already got some games, like you said, published. Can you tell us about those a little bit?
Yeah, well, I've got them here actually.
Awesome.
So yeah, Lab Wars was our first title. So put it like that. So yeah, that was our first title. It was aimed predominantly at scientists who game. So that was our target demographic. It wasn't specifically for gamers. It was specifically more for scientists who play games because there's lots of in jokes and there's lots of silly things. So yeah, that's basically a game about academic ladder and going up the ladder and sabotaging your people and building up your lab. So that did well in the scientific community, and yeah, I'm really pleased with that one.
Awesome. Yeah, I've got a biology teacher at school that I'm sure would love to hear about that game. I'll have to get her a copy.
Sure.
And so now the thing you're working on is Dice Hospital. Can you tell us kind of
Yeah.
how that game came about?
Yeah, so our second game was Cauldron Master, and that did reasonably well on Kickstarter. It raised, I think, $15,000. Just a quick game that I designed. I had been designing with my partner for over a year, and then I came to the conclusion after that I wasn't that good in the game design sort of arena, and I should probably concentrate more on the publishing side. So I made a conscious decision to sort of move away from design and look for designers who had their own designs. And I'm a member of this group called the Indie Game Alliance, just loosely affiliated with these people, run by Matt Holden. And he had a list of designers who were looking for publishers to pick up their games. And because our ethos is science, I was looking for scientific themed games. And as I was flicking through the list on the IGA, Stan Kordonsky's game propped up, and it was a game about hospitals. And it was a worker placement game. And I thought, oh, this looks just right up our street. So I contacted Stan and took it all the way from there.
Awesome. So, and you mentioned Stan, and I believe you also have an artist on board with the game that some of us might be familiar with.
Yeah, so we got to a point with Stan where I didn't feel like I could design it as further as I could. So I actually got Mike Nudd involved, who's based here in the UK near me in London. So he started developing it, and actually the two of them have now created a really succinct piece of game. And then once we got all that in place, we then got Sabrina involved, and Sabrina Miramon, I think that's how you pronounce her name. She's a lovely French lady who actually lives 20 miles down the road from me, and she illustrated Quadropolis actually, and a smaller game called The Builders. So I think lots of people are familiar with her work, and when I contacted her, she basically said that she was available to work, and it was perfect because she does lovely, beautiful, front covers and also character art, but she also does these beautiful isometric or 3D style buildings. So she was perfect for us, and we're super glad to have her on board.
Yeah. And, I feel like I've I'm hearing all this stuff, but I feel like I know a lot of it because you have been so active on Facebook with the Dice Hospital group. I ended up coming across it during looking into some contests, and just all these little tiny things and details about this game you're putting out there to the community to ask questions about, whether it be artwork or game mechanics or things like that. What made you want to get so involved in Facebook and the development of this game?
Well, first of all, I really enjoy it. I mean, when I got the Kickstarter bug and backing other people's games, I was like, I like to be involved in that sort of thing. So when I became a publisher myself, I realized that you could use Kickstarter to basically ask people about their opinions on the game and what they wanted. Because ideally, you want to make a game for your audience. I don't want to make a game for myself. I want people to enjoy it. So since our first Kickstarter, we've been heavily, involved in asking people questions about, what do you think of this? What do you think of that? And because Dice Hospital has been so crazily successful, I mean, I didn't even anticipate it, that people have just been saying, oh, could you change this? Could you change that? And I've just really enjoyed that process. So I've just continued on with it, and people have been really reciprocal, I think is the right word about it. So yeah, really enjoyed that process.
Awesome. And you feel that the game has kind of, like, do you think that some of the stuff you've heard on Facebook has directly impacted the growth of this game?
Oh yeah, for certain. There are lots of little things here and there that I wouldn't have done without people's input. I mean, sometimes it can just be one person saying, could you add this to it, or could you add that? And I'll be like, oh, that's a wicked idea. Let me just change the game or whatever. So I'll listen to anyone as long as they've got an idea and it's suitable for the game. So yeah.
Awesome. So, you've talked about kind of how you're kind of full-time into the game design and game publishing and development. When you're not working on making new games, what are the types of games that you like to play yourself?
Yeah, well, as you can see in the background, I've got a few games there, as everyone does. Probably a smaller collection than other people. I've seen people with rooms of games. That's just crazy. I don't know how you have time to play that many games. I'm very jealous. But I don't know what kind of games am I liking at the moment. I've always loved viticulture. That's one of my favorite games. Right now, I'm also enjoying Explorers of the North Sea from Shem Phillips. I think he's got a Kickstarter running right now for the expansion for that. What else am I enjoying at the moment? Let me take a quick look. I've recently got Fuse. I've been talking to Kane Klenko about designing games for us. What else am I enjoying? I love Istanbul. I just love that pick up and deliver mechanic, but also the Euro mechanics as well. Just absolutely love that stuff. So, yeah. To be honest, my tastes change just like everyone else's. So yeah.
Definitely. And like, what kind of folks do you end up playing with? Like, is it other people that that are game designers, or do you just have some friends that stop by from time to time?
Yeah, well, 50% of my gaming time is spent on playtesting. So I'm either playtesting with my partner, or I have a local group that's run by Brett Gilbert, who designed Elysium with Matt Dunstan. So he's been a really good influence on myself, but also other designers in the group. But yeah, if I'm not playtesting, I'm usually playing with just like a variety of different friends. Some people who don't game that often, and then some people that game all the time. So yeah, it's fun to have that sort of eclectic mix of gaming friends.
Definitely. That sounds awesome. Well, I'm like I said, I'm following Dice Hospital, and each little thing that seems to pop up on my Facebook feed, I'm very much intrigued by. Is there anything upcoming with Dice Hospital that we should know about, or are there any other ways that we can keep up with your progress with the game?
Yeah, the best way is just to join the Facebook group, which is just Dice Hospital, the board game. I'm directly contactable through there. But essentially, I mean, the latest development is that we've gone into our second round of blind play testing as we get ready for the Kickstarter. And that means that it's been opened up to people who haven't play tested before, because the first round was for people that have play tested games before. So we've ironed out a few of the kinks, especially with the drafting of the dice. And yeah, the Kickstarter's coming in probably the end of September, but I've just had confirmation. I mean, the latest bit of news is I've had confirmation from Rado that he will be reviewing the game in preparation for the Kickstarter. So I'm quite excited to see what he says about the game.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's amazing. Well, like I said, I've loved every step along the way. You know, I've not gotten to play test it myself, but I'm looking forward to try to give it a shot sometime in the near future.
Cool.
But we will be definitely tracking your progress and hoping and wishing you all the best with Dice Hospital when you guys launch.
Thank you. Thank you. I really appreciate it.
Yeah. Well, thanks for talking with us today. And like he said, you guys can check out the Dice Hospital on Facebook and learn more about that game and follow along yourselves. And yeah, we'll be looking forward to that and all the other great games I'm sure that are going to be coming out in the future.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks a lot.